Hi, Total Recapped here. Today we will be going through the events of the 2011 action thriller movie Priest, directed by Scott Stewart. Warning, this video contains spoilers, so watch at your own risk. Now let's get right into the movie. The world is ravaged by wars between humans and vampires. The church is the facility that protects the humans and assigns priests. The priests have been trained to combat the blood-hungry vampires with their lives. They are distinguishable by the cross tattoo on their forehead. After the centuries-long war, humans have created walled cities under church's protection that they live inside. The war seems to be ending, and the victory is in the favor of humans. At the beginning of the movie, we see a priest, priestess, and the Black Hat with their soldiers in the Solomira hive. The three break inside when Black Hat senses something off. He alerts the priest, but the priests want to stick to the church's order to find the queen. They hear noises and get ready with their weapons. All of a sudden, they are pulled underground. Most of their soldiers fall into the trap, while others run away. They rush towards the light where vampires are unable to follow them. However, at the last moment, the Black Hat gets taken away, even though the priest tries his best to help him. After the vampires were defeated, the surviving ones were sent to reserves and hives, while humans enjoyed living in walled cities. The priests were no longer needed for protection, so the church sent them to the cities to live their life as the general population. It is now the present times. Owen Pace is a normal civilian who lives with his wife Shannon and daughter Lucy in the wasteland. The land they live in is too barren to support vegetation, but Owen believes that the radiation will soon be low enough for them to plant crops. Lucy is reluctant to their mere sheltered existence. That night, she gets into an argument with Owen, claiming that she feels like a prisoner in the house. Shannon manages to calm the daughter and father and makes them say grace together. All of a sudden, the house starts to shake. Owen goes outside to check and is horrified to see a pack of vampires coming towards them. Shannon quickly makes Lucy hide in the basement and tells her not to come out at any cost. She then joins Owen to fight them. Lucy, from her hiding, hears noises of gunshots and her parents being ripped apart. Then someone comes into the hiding as a frightened Lucy watches them. The scene cuts to the great church. Priests can be seen walking down the street with the crowd when the church's bell rings. Everyone stops in their tracks and pays homage, citing that to go against the church is to go against God. Priest then goes into one of the chambers with the highest of technology and begs forgiveness for his sins. The place recognizes his voice and an automated video of the church's head, Monsignor Aurelius, plays on the monitor. Priest confesses that he has been having nightmares about the time he was unable to save Black Hat during the war. He is starting to doubt his faith in the church. However, the video tells him to chant the prayer of constriction. Priest is annoyed by the automated answer, but cites the prayer anyway. On his way back home, Priest encounters a boy and his mother in an elevator. The naive boy asks Priest about his tattoo, but the mother scolds him, saying they must not talk to Priest. Before Priest can enter his apartment, he strikes at a man who noticed he was following him the whole way. The man introduces himself as Hicks, the sheriff of the town. He is here to inform Priest that Priest's brother Owen is fighting between life and death after being attacked by vampires. Owen's wife Shannon was killed, and his daughter Lucy was abducted by the vampires. He adds that Lucy always talks about him as a superhero. Hicks has decided to go after the vampires to get Lucy and ask for Priest's help in the mission. However, Priest cannot go without the church's permission. In the next scene, we see Priest kneel before the Monsignor, who pays condolences for his family's death. The priest tells him that he wants the Monsignor to reinstate his authority as a priest because this was a vampire attack. However, the Monsignor laughs at him and claims that there have been no reports of vampire escape and Hick might be mistaken. Monsignor asks the priest to shake not the faith of the citizens in the church by proposing such absurd scenarios. When the priest doesn't stop questioning him, the Monsignor reminds him that questioning the authority of the church is strictly forbidden. In the next scene, we see Lucy on a running train, imprisoned by the vampires. Suddenly, the Black Hat appears in front of her. As it turns out, he did not die during the war and is on the vampire's side now. Lucy threatens him that her uncle, the priest, will come to save her. What she doesn't know is that this is the exact reason why Black Hat abducted her in the first place. He wants to reunite with the priest. Back in the town, the priest and Chamberlain are together in a bar. Chamberlain tells him not to commit a sacrilege just for a mere cause. The police then surround the priest and are alerted that he is about to go against the church. Chamberlain reminds him that to go against the church is to go against God. Priest, with much determination, says that he will go against the God. Then he knocks down the police in seconds and leaves. He prepares his weapons for the mission and trains himself. Finally, the priest brings out his vehicle and drives away from the safe and gated city to the desolate landscape of the wasteland. He finally reaches Owen's outpost and enters his home, which has been demolished by the vampires. Just then, Sheriff Hicks comes inside and offers to take him to Owen. The brothers finally reunite after years. As the two talk, Owen begs him to find and save Lucy. Later, Hicks informs the priest of the church's clergy looking for him as a wanted criminal. He also claims that he wants to join Priest in the rescue mission, but Priest refuses. Hicks slices a bullet midair to prove that he is worthy of the mission. Back in the city, the church assembles a group of other priests and priestesses. They are ordered to bring the priest back, dead or alive, and they set off to look for him. Later, the priest finds footsteps that do not match that of the vampires or their familiars. He and Hicks drive away to the closest vampire reservation. They are surprised to see no guards in the place. It is infested by familiars. The priest explains that familiars are people who voluntarily turn into vampires. They approach one of the familiars and ask him about vampires abducting a girl. The familiar replies that no one has passed through their reservation. The two then go inside the place and see that the guards have been killed. The priest threatens one of the familiars, saying that he will open his master's coffin. All of a sudden, a group of familiars come inside ready to attack the two. Hicks escapes out but is attacked by the others. However, with his amazing skills, the priest kills most of them in no time. He leaves one alive and interrogates him about Lucy. Before he can provide any important information, the sun sets and the vampires rise from their coffins. The priest pulls out a weapon from his Bible and easily kills two of them. Hicks fires at the others but doesn't shoot even one. The priest manages to kill all but one, gets away. Then he asks the familiar about Lucy again. This time he reveals that they took her west. The vampire from earlier attacks the priest, but he wins the battle again. The two then make their way to Solomira Hive in the west. The priest teaches Hicks to shoot vampires and the two leave for the hive. Back in the train, a salesman who has seen Hicks and the priest in town gives Black Hat information about them. After his work is done, Black Hat drinks his blood, turning him into a familiar. Meanwhile, the priestess is in the outpost looking for the priest. Then we see the priest and Hicks move west. In the meantime, they chat and the priest gets to know that Hicks and Lucy had an affair that Owen was oblivious to. When asked if he loves Lucy, Hicks answers yes. The priest then reveals that he will shoot her if she has turned into a familiar, and Hicks replies he won't let him do that. They finally reach the hive and get inside. The priest gets flashes of times when he was here during the war. He alerts Hicks to shoot anything that comes in front of him and drops down the shaft. As Hicks is distracted by a toy he finds on the ground, we see a large creature behind him. The priest is looking through the tunnels when he feels someone following him. Before he can do anything, the priestess attacks him. The priest is surprised to see her there. She explains that the clergy sent her to arrest him. The two then hear a gunshot and go to see Hicks fighting a massive creature. The priest recognizes it as the hive's guardian. The priest and the priestess fight with the creature, and in the end, Hicks shoots it dead. Priestess is confused why an empty hive would have a guard. Then they find a newly rebuilt section that is massive, potentially built for a larger army of vampires. The priest says that the air inside the hive is changing. They soon find an exit and set off for the town of Jericho, where the other priests are heading. However, just then we see a train full of vampires arrive at the town before the priests. They attack the town and kill all the civilians one by one. Black Hat orchestrates it while dancing in the streets. Just then, 3 of the other priests arrive there. One of them attacks Black Hat but is easily knocked out by him. Black Hat gives the other 2 the option to join him. The following morning, the group arrives in the place to see that it has been completely wiped out of humans. The priest finds the bodies of the other 3 priests hung on the cross and prays in front of them. Hicks asks how a vampire could have killed 3 priests. The priest answers that it was not a normal vampire. The 3 realize that the vampires came on a train and are headed to the wasteland now. It finally occurs to them that the main aim of the vampires was to get all the priests out of the city and attack it. They burn the bodies of the dead priests, quickly get on their vehicles, and make their way to the wasteland. Meanwhile, back on the train, Black Hat explains to Lucy that he believes the vampire breed is purer than humans, and his aim is to wash the world of humanity's sins. In the end, he adds that the priest will help him with his mission. When the others reach the tracks, Hicks points his gun at the priest and threatens to kill him if he tries to harm Lucy. He is afraid that if Lucy is turned into a familiar, the priest will kill her. Just then, the priestess reveals that the priest is Lucy's real father and that he had sacrificed his daughter, giving her to Owen to become a priest. The priest assures him that they can only save her when they are together. Priest and Hicks make their way to the train as the priestess sets up explosives in the tracks. Hicks enters the train from his back door while the priest gets on top of it. The priest then encounters Black Hat waiting for him. He wants the priest to join hands with him. He finally reveals that the vampire queen had turned him into a human vampire. The priest attacks Black Hat, but he easily defends himself. Black Hat claims that he is stronger than the priest now, so he cannot win. Meanwhile, the familiars catch up with the priestess as she sets the explosive. She defeats them all in minutes, but then sees the explosive traps have been destroyed. She quickly thinks of another plan. On the other hand, the priest and Black Hat are fighting on top of the train, both equally skilled. Black Hat somehow manages to throw him on the tracks, but the priest saves himself by holding onto the train. Then we see Hicks walking around looking for Lucy. He sees a familiar taking her away but cannot reach them in time. Just then, the priest gets back to the train again, breaking through the wooden floor. The vampires awaken and attack the priest and Hicks. Hicks creates holes on the roof, allowing the sunlight to enter the train to keep them away. They run after Lucy, but Black Hat appears again and knocks Hicks out of the train. Lucy then sets herself free from a familiar by setting him on fire. She is now in front of a Black Hat and the priest. Black Hat reveals to her that the priest is her real father. The two get into a fight again, which ends when Black Hat impales the priest to the wall. Black Hat then takes her on top of the train. Meanwhile, Priestess mounts the explosives on her bike and rides towards the train at high speed. The priest manages to free himself and goes to the top, right when Black Hat is about to bite Lucy. But before he can, the priest strikes him with a weapon that lands right into his neck. Lucy almost falls off the train but is saved by the priest again. Black Hat approaches them to push them off when the priestess hits the train with her bike and jumps off of it right in time. The train explodes in flames, taking all the vampires with it. The priest jumps off it with Lucy right before the explosion. Hicks rushes towards the explosion and sees Lucy and the priest safe on the ground. The priestess approaches them and the Black Hat's hat falls on the ground. The scene then changes to the priest walking down the aisle of the church towards the Monsignor. He throws a beheaded vampire head and tells him to check the train outside the city for more. The Monsignor yells at him, insisting that there are no vampires left and the war is over. As the priest walks out of the church, he answers that the war is just beginning. He then meets the priestess, who says that she has notified the others. The two plan to meet at a City 7 and the priest drives off into the sunset. And that was my recap of the movie. I hope you enjoyed it. Now comment on what your favorite part was and make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.